So we got another Void Titan build here, but we're actually using Prismatic this time. We're building this off of Mask the Quiet One, which just got buffed. So it now states, grants ability energy when you are damaged. Then, in a separate sentence, so an additional effect, while you have a Void super equipped, rapid final blows and final blows while critically wounded will grant Devour. This is finally the type of survivability that Prismatic Titan has needed. So just making a build with that to make sure that we can actually survive in Prismatic Titan. So here's the Prismatic Titan build. We have to run Twilight Arsenal, it's our only Void super option at the moment, for Master the Quiet One, and get that to proc. We're running Rally Barricade, so that one of our aspects can work properly. I don't suggest Thruster for this. You can use Towering Barricade if you would prefer, but Rally Barricade has that quicker recharge time, as well as being able to let you shoot over top of it and increase your reload speed. I prefer Strafe Lift, you can really choose any one of these. I'm using Frenzy Blade. We get 3 charges with this melee. Even though it has a higher base cooldown, we have plenty of ways to reduce the cooldown on this. Then we're running Pulse Grenade, which is going to allow us to jolt targets later on with some of the fragments, and it's just easily the strongest option right now for Prismatic Titan. For our aspects, we're running Jenger's Lash. This allows us to create a ripple in reality that travels forward along the ground, suspending and damaging the targets it hits. So this is going to allow us to create a Strand Tangle, which is going to play in with our Frenzy Blade, because this is going to allow us to sever targets. So we'll be able to get both strand debuffs here. Then we're running Consecration. I know it's a little overplayed at this point for Prismatic Titan, but it is genuinely the best option here, because that way we can tap into some of the solar verbs here, like an Ignition. And this, for people that don't know, while you're sliding, you activate your melee to launch a wave of solar energy forward, and then you can press it again and you'll slam down and you'll create an Ignition if you're hitting the same target twice. For our fragments, we're running Facet of Awakening. Rapidly defeating targets with light or darkness damage, or super final blows, generates an elemental pickup of the matching damage type. We're going to be tapping into this all the time. Nearly everything we do is capable of multi-kills and rapid successive kills, which will then create a Fire Sprite, an Ionic Trace, a Void Breach, and a Tangle. So for a Fire Sprite, that's going to grant us grenade energy as well as a little bit of healing. There's Ionic Trace, which is that it's going to travel on the ground, it's going to come find us, and that's when we jolt something with our grenade, and that's going to grant us ability energy just across the board. Void Breaches are going to be able to give us more class ability energy, feeding into our aspect yet again, and then a Tangle is going to be able to be thrown and do some damage. Now with Facet of Sacrifice, we have an Arc, Solar, or Void buff. Ability Final Blows grant bonus Darkness Transcendence energy. We're mainly using our light side weapon, which is going to be a Void weapon. So we're going to need a way to be able to get the Darkness Transcendence energy, and this allows us to do it. We will have a Void buff, which is going to be Devour, 24/7, so this will always be proccing. Faster Protection, just to make sure that when we're surrounded, we have a bit more resistance. Devour can help us, but just having that resistance in the first place allows us to have that breathing room. Facet of Purpose, picking up an Overpower, grants Amplified Restoration, Frost Armor, Woven Mail, or Overshield based on the damage type of your equipped super. We'll be getting Overshield, which they just buffed, so it's significantly more damage resistant. I think they gave it a larger health pool. So we'll have damage resistance with both Facet of Purpose as well as Facet of Protection. We have Facet of Bravery, so when we defeat targets with our grenade that's going to be jolting everything, we'll get volatile rounds to our Void weapons. And when we defeat targets with our Pallid Melee, our Consecration Slam, we'll get some unraveling rounds for our Strand weapons. So we want to be mainly running Void or Strand weapons with this build. Lastly, we have Facet of Dominance. Your Void grenades weaken targets, and your Arc grenades jolt targets. We're taking advantage of the Arc grenade part with jolting for our Pulse Grenade to be able to make that actually be able to jolt. It's going to get plenty of multi-kills and allow us to get those Ionic Traces. So just to show off the synergy of this build, I've created a little chart. So we can see just off of this helmet, we get so many benefits. So we're getting Devour here, which is going to proc one of our fragments. And then because of Devour, it's going to be able to recharge our grenade. Our grenade is going to be able to jolt, which is going to be able to get Overload champions. Then our grenade is also on a kill, going to be able to provide us volatile rounds with our other fragment. Volatile rounds can be able to get anti-barrier champions. Then, when we just hit an enemy with our melee, our base melee, we'll be able to sever a target. Then, while we're sliding, we can turn that into Consecration Slam, and that can be an ignition, which can then stun an unstoppable champion. Now, if we happen to kill an enemy, and we're doing multi-kills with this all the time, we'll be able to proc this to be able to create a Fire Sprite, a Tangle, a Void Breach, or an Ionic Trace, depending on what we've done. So with a Void Breach, that's going to feed into our class ability, as well as an Ionic Trace. That's also going to feed into our class ability, as well as our Grenade, as well as our melee, and that's going to lead all the way down here over to our Aspect, which is going to allow us to send out that Lash. It's going to suspend targets, and that'll also be an unstoppable champion breaker. With a Fire Sprite, that's going to let us get more grenade energy as well, and a Tangle is just going to be like an extra little damage bonus. But it's just very synergistic. Everything kind of circulates with each other, and it's just off of the buff that Devour gives us, and so it's so important for Titan to be able to access that. For our weapon choices, I decided to build into Wave Splitter. I decided it was a little too synergistic to ignore here. So at base, it says Harmonic Laser. Laser damage has 3 power levels that oscillate while the trigger is held down. We don't particularly care about that because this overrides it most of the time. Supercharged Battery. Collecting an overpower grants a period of maximum power that starts with an automatic reload. Sustained Fire in this mode suppresses targets. So we'll also be able to access suppressing with this gun. So we'll get the max damage off of an orb. We'll also get all of our other abilities back quicker. We'll get our super back quicker, and this thing's going to be doing max damage. I believe it's double damage with Supercharged Battery. I'm running a Strand primary. You don't have to run the same gun here. Demolitionist is helpful just to get my grenade back a little bit quicker. The main thing, though, that you're going to be wanting to be running on your primary is, as long as it's Strand, of course, also running Special Ammo Finder Enhancement, which is the new one they just added, that grants increased Special Ammo Finder progress with this weapon's final blows. So we can just keep Wave Splitter topped up. This is a just-in-case type of thing. We're not going to be using our primary very much. I'm running the Cataphract GL3 here with Auto-Loading Bait and Switch. For our mods, on our helmets, we have Special Ammo Finder. Got to keep the ammo always kind of coming in for Wave Splitter, because it is a special weapon. Harmonic Siphon. This is to make sure that when we're using our Wave Splitter, that it's actually creating orbs. We have Ashes to Assets. Our grenade kills are going to be all over the place. There's jolting happening, they're getting Ionic Traces, and we're just going to be able to get our super back insanely quickly. On our arms, we have 2 momentum transfer to make it so that because of that longer cooldown on our melee, that when we cause damage with our grenade, it'll reduce our melee cooldown. Just keep all of our abilities flowing at all times. Same reason why we have Impact Induction, so that way when we're actually using our melee, it'll also reduce our grenade, so we can use our abilities just constantly. On our chest, I have Harmonic Resistance. You can swap this out for whatever you're currently facing. This is just the cheapest mod here, but you can swap it out for something else. I have Charged Up, so that way we can increase the maximum stacks of armor charge by 1. That allows us to get to 4, which allows us to actually keep a stack of our armor charge when we finish something, when we proc special finisher that we have down here. So Harmonic Reserves allows us to increase the reserve amount that we have for void weapons. Then we also have Harmonic Scavenger on our boots. Void weapons get bonus reserves and picking up ammo. So this is going to help out both your Wave Splitter and if you have that new Void Heavy GL. If you also want to run any Void Heavy weapon, this will also work for that. We also have 2 Void Weapon Surges, just to make it feel just that much better. I believe it's 17% with 2. We have 2 time dilation mods on our mark to make sure that we have 18 seconds per charge, which is giving us plenty of time per orb to be able to rock this. And we'll have 4 armor charges, so this should last throughout a whole damage phase. And we also have Special Finisher here to make sure that we can always have ammo just in case for our Wave Splitter. As far as the artifact goes, technically none of this is really coming into play. I have stuff selected here. I'm going to unselect it for the build gameplay here in the future so you know it's not active. But The only things that are really synergistic are the grenade launcher ones if you're running a heavy GL, which is the kinetic impacts, you have rapid impacts, and I believe concussive reload. The only thing that could really help us later on would be a supernova, picking up a void breach, which we'll find plenty of, causes your next source of void damage to create a large weakening pulse, which would then allow us to take advantage of power from pain. Rapid final blows against weakened combatants grant you devour, but it's kind of unnecessary. We're going to have devour 100% of the time, that this little loop doesn't really matter for us. So because it doesn't really take advantage of any of the artifact, this build should stand the test of time for other seasons that have a completely different artifact. Okay, let's hop into the gameplay. As you can see that the reserves for, I'm just going to swap back to it, so you can see 582 rounds for our wave splitter down there in the bottom left. So this thing is going to last forever. I'm in here with the with red bars, so we can start out with an ignition, just to immediately get it going. Kill one. We already got a special brick right there. Super quick. This thing is already really strong. We can grab an orb here, and now it just obliterates. We already created a void breach. There's another orb. This thing just melts. Then on bigger targets, you just throw a grenade at it. Now you're jolting, and we got the overpower, and it's just gone. These are all red bars. And keep in mind that when we pick up an orb, we're also getting our health back, we're getting an overshield, we're also getting our gun fully reloaded, and we're getting more damage for it. So void breach, orb, special ammo. There's gonna be another orb. Everything's so quickly getting melted. There's another orb. Just throw a grenade at these guys. We can jolt everything. We got a couple of ionic traces there. We got our abilities back. These guys, we can just go into that just for fun. There's another void breach. We can smack this guy with that, and he's severed. So you can just take advantage of so many different things with this build. So grenade him, and now we have volatile rounds, which again is building into all of our stuff here, and it's even more explosive for Wave Splitter. You can run this with any void weapon you'd like, but it's just so much fun to pick up an orb, and then you're suddenly just doing so much damage with supercharged battery. And this guy's just obliterated. We get special ammo out of him. We can even just throw our super for no reason. Screw sign. So we forgot to show off the Drinker's Lash, so you can still suspend stuff, and you can kind of tangle that way. And you can see how fast we get our barricade back by picking up a void breach and picking up an orb. Killing more enemies. Just throw an arc grenade there. We have them all lined up. You shoot the tangles. They're all suspended. We just have so much survivability with this. I'm just sitting here tanking these turrets and I don't even care. And these are all red bars. And we're about to have our barricade back again. Why not suspend this guy? And we'll get a tangle. And you can see we're all topped up on our armor charge this whole time, because we're creating so many orbs that if I needed it, I can still use up some of my armor charge just to kill this guy, just to get a special brick for no reason, and we still have one left over. And then there's an orb. And we're keep going with our maximum damage output. We don't have to worry about the fact that it uses some of it. And it will only use it if we have 3 or more. So you can just wait till you created 4 orbs and then finish something, and you'll still have a lot of time, because of time dilation, to be able to get your next few kills off and keep Devour going. Here, we can ignite. And they're gone, and another orb. But as you can see, throughout this whole lost sector, I haven't had to use my primary at all. It's really just a just-in-case scenario type of thing. Chase this guy down. There you go.